Call this meeting of New Iberia City Council to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Councilwoman Natalie Robin.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
We have the pledge with Troop 55 from Sacred Heart Church in Broussard.
Room, please rise for the flag ceremony. Color Guard forward march. Color Guard halt. Color Guard post colors. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color Guard. Retreat.
Okay, I would ask everyone to please turn their phones on vibrate. The first agenda item is a resolution of sympathy for Mr. Ross Miguez and Mr. Jody Anthony. Put it on my thing. I'm sorry, there's a mistake on my agenda. I don't have roll call. Roll call.
Councilmember Natalie Roban.
Present.
Councilmember Peggy Drack. Councilmember Robert Swear.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember David Merrill.
Here.
Councilmember Raymond Lewis.
Present.
And Councilmember Calvin Bagnell.
Here.
Mayor Curry, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The next agenda item is a resolution of sympathy for Mr. Ross Miguez and Mr. Jody Anthony. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the employees of the City of New Iberia, I, Hilda Day Curry, Mayor, do hereby extend this resolution of heartfelt sympathy to the family and friends of Mr. Ross Miguez and Mr. Jody Anthony, whose lives were tragically taken on Tuesday, July 8, 2014. Whereas Mr. Miguez and Mr. Anthony were employees in the Public Works Department of Iberia Parish Government. And whereas Mr. Miguez and Mr. Anthony will be remembered for their dedication and commitment to public service. And whereas Mr. Miguez and Mr. Anthony were loved by many and will truly be missed. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and the Board of Trustees and all of the employees of the City of New Iberia extend their heartfelt sympathy to the family and friends of Mr. Ross Miguez and Mr. Jody Anthony. The next agenda item is public comment, and at this time, you are to complete a card if you would like to address the council on any agenda item. It's strictly for you to have the opportunity to address the council concerning an agenda item, and there's no discussion. The first person who has requested to address the council is Ms. Gail Broussard-Boudreau, and she would like to discuss agenda item 6. Let's see,
I think she wants to talk about the
streets.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, agenda item 9, which is the street program.
Thank you very much. As she said, my name is Gail Broussard-Boudreau, and I have been living in this Queen City on the Teche since before I was born. I have done all kinds of work here. I am very familiar with the city, and I have lived on a street, and I now have rental property on that street that's in horrendous condition. It's Johnson Alley. It's right across from Bulani Plaza, across the bayou. It's in what used to be a very substantial and significant district. Maybe it still is. It is near DePeria Avenue and Indes. It's sandwiched in between those. It's not far from Shadows Bend, but it's definitely not getting the attention that it needs and probably hasn't for quite some time. I do realize that the city's larger now and the money has to probably go further, but we all have a turn, and I think Johnson Alley's turn is now. I would like you to consider having that. Anything you would do would be an improvement. I have called the mayor's office, and I have been was told to come here today, and I've also called City Bourne and talked with Mr. Landry, who said that something about the street wasn't quite wide enough to get the equipment in there. Well, perhaps if it were done in alternating squares and then come back on each side of the road and come back with other alternating squares, it could be totally resurfaced. I grew up on that street, and at least 3 or 4 times in my lifetime while I was growing up there, it was totally resurfaced with blacktop. So if it could be done then, I don't know why it couldn't be done now. And I would like you to give that consideration. I think I was told it has been being patched, but I have pictures in my phone, and I'm going to pass it so you can see them. I took them right before I came here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you having me here. We all know it's the sweetest, saltiest, spiciest place in the world, but Johnson Alley's not looking real sweet right now. And I would like you to, I don't know about roads a whole lot, but I know about taxpayers. And I know the taxpayers on that road, on that street, deserve to have a decent road just as much as DePeria or Indes or Shadows Bend or anywhere else. And I don't know when's the last time it was totally resurfaced and what you would have to do it. It's your job, not mine. I'm just asking you to please do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
I do have pictures in my phone.
Need to give her this copy. You fall out. That's the other curve. The tag plan one.
Thank you, Ms. Boudreaux.
Thank you.
Slide it this
Okay, we'll continue while you look at the pictures. The next agenda item is acceptance of the minutes of the July 1st, 2014 meeting as published on Thursday, July 10th, 2014.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Merrill,
Second.
second by, I don't know who made it over here.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Doyle, is there any objection? Any additions? Motion carries. The next agenda item is agenda item 4, and it's crime mapping, and we have Mr. Jimmy Lewis with the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Department here to introduce this program.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good.
I have a good privilege here to introduce everyone to crime mapping, especially for all the districts that have the Neighborhood Watch program. This could be a great asset for them. It's also a great way for the Sheriff's Office to put out information of what's happening in the parish as well as the city. I'm going to have my assistant. You got to birth these. So run the screen for me so I can see what's going on. But to get to the website, you go to crimemapping.com, and you can use any internet browser. You can use Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer. But when you go back to the first screen, Charlie. When you go to crimemapping.com, you'll see a map of the United States, and naturally you click on Louisiana. And these are the agencies right now in Louisiana that subscribe to crimemapping.com and publish the information out. You just click on Iberia Parish Sheriff, and it'll zoom in automatically to Iberia Parish with the city as the center. Now it defaults here to a week worth of time frame. So it looks a little cluttered, but that is 7 days worth of data. Zoom in just a little bit, Charlie. And then you'll notice on the top left in the blue there, it says right now it's zoomed into 138 crimes. Now that's within the zoomed area right there. So as you zoom in closer, keep going, Charlie. You'll notice that's good. That number will drop. So drag to the right a little bit, Charlie. Okay. So if you click on one of the icons that are there, you'll see it'll pop up and tell you what occurred at that location. And they're categorized. Look at the crime types, Charlie. Click up there, crime types. These are the different crime types that are available in crimemapping.com. And if you highlight over them, it'll tell you what each of the categories is: burglary, disturbing the peace, drug, DUI. Okay, go ahead and click on crime types again. There we go. All right. Now, when you click on the icon, that burglary right there, you'll see this was an alarm, a burglar alarm activation. It tells you the time and everything that it occurred. I kind of put those under that category because, you know, maybe it was attempted burglary, but we respond to the alarm calls. And I wanted to put that information out there that we are tying someone up, we are going to it, and this is what happened at that location. Go to the one on the left, Charlie, the vandalism, right there. All right, vandalism, property, simple criminal damage, has the case number, the time that it occurred. Pick another one, Charlie, see if I can, there you go. This is an assault, a battery, simple battery. And we give you the 100 block of the address that it occurred at. That happened at the 300 block of Robinson Street. I got to step in front of the podium because I can't see that well. Click down there where the 3's at, Charlie. All right, so you see where the 3 is. What happens is there were multiple crimes within that 100 block, and so the pins kind of got stacked up on each other. So all you have to do is click on it, and then it'll give you the arrows, and then you can click through each of the disturbances or calls that was on there. We worked on this for a few months to get it up and running. It wasn't all that simple to do, but it's achievable. We got it updating every morning at 5 a.m. We update all the calls from the previous day, and we have 6 months worth of rolling data. So you can go back 6 months and see what happened. Click up there on dates, Charlie. All right, and this is where you can filter down to the dates. Just on the 2, Charlie, click on the right and go to the, let's just go to June 1st. So on the left, there you go, there you go, click back, go June 1st. There you go, and then 2. Right there, click on the calendar on the right, and then go to June 2nd. And if everything works, I'm not going to click apply. All right, and then click on the dates and get that out of the way. And you can zoom out a little bit. All right, so there we go, not too bad. And it worked, so even better, right? And one of the good things too is, if the call is already in there and they come back and do a follow-up investigation and maybe the code changes from, I don't know, from domestic disturbance to battery, once that's updated in the system, it's going to update the map as well. So that's one nice little thing we have it. On the right-hand side, go up to the little chart, Charlie, up, right there. Click on that. Now this gives you a little bit of statistical data. It's not real granular to where it can go down to the district level, but from where I'm zoomed at, there's 41 crimes there, and then this will tell me what crime type it was, a summary there on the left in the pie chart, and then scroll down just a little bit, Charlie. This will give me the days of the week that it occurred. So we got Sunday and Monday going on right there, and it gives us each of the crime type during during that day by category. And click on the pie chart there where it shows 17, Charlie, right there. So it kind of pulls it out. We got 17 disturbing the peace there. That seems to be a real popular call that we go on. All right, so go ahead and go back, Charlie. Any questions on that?
You mentioned earlier about anytime they had a burglar call or even fire call, that is not a real call, but it is.
No, it's a real call.
No, but y'all answered, but it could be a false call because of a malfunction in the alarms. That's still
It's
reported
still-
there.
It's still, yes.
But it doesn't identify being a false entry.
It'll say alarm activation.
Okay.
And that's what we respond to, and so those will be posted. Now, fire alarm, we don't get fire alarm calls, but burglar alarm, yes. And it doesn't specify if there's a key holder or there's not a key holder. You know, if someone met us there or not. You know, if they did a search or anything like that. More than likely, they do a search when they arrive there to make sure that the residence or business is secure. If they have a key holder, naturally they'll call the key holder and see if they can get a hold of them and possibly meet them there. But it's in the system and we automatically, it goes through a couple paths and we put it up there. You know, I thought it was important information that to put it out there, especially for our neighborhood watch people to realize that, hey, these false alarms that are going off, you know, some of them might be able to be solved by if the key holder is updated, that the alarm company will be able to call the residents and say, oh no, don't worry, I accidentally tripped the alarm, no big deal.
Right.
Well, if they can't get them, we're going to respond and it's going to get posted, and I know that happens a few times. So, go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Now, one of the other great things that's on here is you can set alerts on here, and if you put in a particular address, so go to the address up there, Charlie, and type 300 Iberia Street. You can zoom to an address. So whatever district you're in, if you kind of know a good middle address of that, you can zoom right there. Don't move. You can zoom within that address, and then your search radius you can change from 1.5 miles, half a mile. Click on the down arrow on the search radius, Charlie. All right. So you got 500 feet, 0.2 miles, 0.5 miles, 1 mile, 2 miles. So if you want to know what's going on in your district, you kind of pick an address in the centralized in that location, and you can zoom and see that. Another thing that you can do to it is you can subscribe. So if you subscribe to it and you want to know, say, what burglaries there are within a half-mile radius of that address, it'll send you an email and alert you. You know, and you can have multiple addresses, you know, your business address or grandma's house or your residence or something like that. But that's a nice little feature that we have in there. Any questions? I went pretty fast too. I see y'all have a busy agenda. So,
Mr. Merrill?
It's not really a question, but going back to what you just said, I like the alert part because for a lot of people that do have phones, iPhones or what have you, if they're at work or something and they get alerted that there's been a burglary or crime in the area, they'll be aware of it before they go home, and it's a good feature to let them know before they go home to be able to be aware of their surroundings when they're going home. So
yeah.
I like that part of it.
There is an iPhone app. There's an Apple app. You just go to Crime Mapping, look at crimemapping.com, and you'll find it. But for the Androids, you just go to crimemapping.com on your browser, and you can pull up the same thing. You can pull up the same thing in Safari on your iPhone. The app just kind of zooms a little bit better than Safari itself. Also, I wanted to open an invitation to all the neighborhood watch meetings. I know I've been to Mr. Merrill's and Ms. Roban's neighborhood watch meeting. So if you have a neighborhood watch and you would like me to come and show your neighborhood watch group the app, not a problem. Just give us a call and let me know what date, and so I can clear my schedule.
When you was
Matter of
tomorrow?
fact, Mr. Lewis is going to be coming back again to my meeting on Thursday.
Yeah,
So
that is correct.
anybody that wants to come, he went into full detail. They had a lot of people that weren't able to come at the last meeting, and I was asked by some people in Mr. Begno's district to be able to set this up again. So anybody that wants to come in any district, come out and he'll go into it in full stream. It's very interesting, and a lot of people are really excited about it.
Yeah, we'll go through some the website, the sheriff's website, some information there that's available, some links. Also I wanted to show one thing on the, click on one real quick, Charlie. You'll see down there down there at the bottom, it shows Iberia Sheriff's Office. Click on that, up one. And then you can click report a crime. So what's kind of nice about that'll take you to our website to where you can fill out a form. If you see a burglary that pops up in your neighborhood, and you have information, you click on that and share the information with the sheriff's office. It may be something that we don't know. There's also a link to the website if there's information that you'd like to share with us as well. While I'm thinking about it, also app-wise, the sheriff does have an app, an Android app, that you can report crime and different things with us as well on that. And if you just search IPSO in the App Store, you'll see Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office, and you can download that app as well. So
In your presentation, you said that there were 41 crime committed. Was that in one certain area? Was it a mixture of
it could
crime?
be, say, 102, 108, 110. It's going to zero that down. It'll put it to the 100 block, which will then stack the little icons on top of one another. So that's why they'll put a 1 or a 2 or 3 or there's sometimes a 4 on there. You'll have multiple crimes. It may not be at that one residence, but it'll be within that 100 block of that address.
Because y'all had it in the newspaper, and a few of my constituents called, they were alone, they didn't understand it,
Well, that's what it is. It's within that block.
within the block.
Yeah. And
Now,
'cause,
is there any way when there's a purse snatching or breaking in houses that it could be publicized so people could be more aware, especially people living alone?
If you say it'll alert you, if you can sign up.
yeah,
and
if they
get it.
register,
You
if
could
they go in and register,
And
and they say that crime type and put their address within
Okay.
2 miles. Within 2 miles, you got a good coverage
the
of
police come right
Iberia
away?
Parish. Pardon?
It would come right away, the police?
No, it doesn't send us. It alerts
Okay.
you
It
that
alerts
crime
you.
has occurred. Yeah, in your area.
All this modern technology, I got a alarm system, but I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
You understand? Did I explain it well enough?
understand it, Yes.
Okay.
Is anyone else? Mr. Lewis?
You're Lewis too.
I am, sir.
Might be Kent.
Never know.
Never know. But I'm glad you're kind of going over this with us tonight, because I requested this is my third request to meet with the sheriff, if you don't mind handling this, on some of these very issues in my district, to the sheriff's attorney, Mr. Ellich, Steve Ellich. Glad to have you. See here, Steve. Right there. That's Mr. Ellich right there. If you can pass that on, I would appreciate that very much.
Anyone else?
But again, some of the stuff in what I wanted to meet with the sheriff is in that package, but it's other things that I need to discuss with him personally.
Any
Mr.
questions about
Mr.
crime
Bagnell?
act?
No, I understand it very well. I've been viewing it since it went, since y'all
Great.
put it online.
That's good. This is my first opportunity that we've had to come here since we went live with it. I was really excited about getting it out there. That's why we sent it out to the news. The day it went live, so we could get the information out there. Even the guys on the road are looking at it. It gives a great overall picture of what's happening in the area, and it helped us all work together to find, to hopefully reduce some of this.
Mr. Bagnell?
That was gonna be my comment, was that I think
Go ahead,
now,
Mr. Bagnell.
now we have, how you doing, Jim? We have, now there's an opportunity, I guess, for all of our neighborhood watch groups to actually see what's going on in the area and be a little more vigilant about it, which I know my group and Natalie's and Mr. Merrill's group are doing that. My group is on Facebook every night. Technology today is unbelievable. They're on Facebook every night, and they're talking about what's happening in the area. So people are more aware of what's going on. I think this is just to give us an aid to help us in the community, help out. And I know you guys are using it also, but thank you. I appreciate you
Thank you, sir.
coming.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I know
Mr.
Freddie's gonna
Swear?
be happy, because
Freddie's gonna be so
last
excited.
4 years, every meeting.
Where's Freddie? I gotta meet Freddie.
He's on vacation.
I don't think
He's
we had
back.
a meeting that he didn't talk about crime
Crime
map.
map.
I know he's gonna be very happy with this.
So, okay, thank you both very much for coming. Mr. Lewis and Charlie, thanks for helping out.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate you being here this evening. It's a great opportunity for our community to keep up with crime in our area. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, thank you.
The next agenda item is a recommendation for Port Commissioner. It's a recommendation to appoint Mr. Elbridge Smitty Smith III to the Iberia Port Commission for a 6-year term, September 19th of 2014 through September 19th of 2020. There is a resume in your packet and also an application.
Make a motion.
A motion by Mr. Begnaud, a second by Mr. Doyle. Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Mr. Lewis?
who is he? Stand up, let me.
In fact, if he would like to address.
I've
Smith,
seen you
would
before.
Mr. Smith, would you like to address the council? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor for giving me this opportunity, and I'd like to thank all of y'all. I called all of y'all last week and this week, and thank y'all for taking the time out to talk to me and meet me. And all I can ask is for your vote tonight, and I promise I'll do the best of my ability. So, y'all have any questions for me or anything?
I want to thank you for calling me, and I got a little more input on you. I may have babysit you at one time. From Dr. Andrew Emma grandson, how well I knew his grandchildren. And if you're anything like your grandfather and grandmother, you're a pretty good guy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
I had, per our discussion, Mr. Smith, you understood our discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I appreciate your candor.
And I'm glad you respect that.
All right, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Swear?
We go, all the names that the day librarian had gave, none of them were qualified.
Mr. Swear, this is my recommendation, and the applications have been open. I am the one that puts the recommendation up, and the council votes on it.
Yes, ma'am, but, looked like you went out and seeked some more names after the last one was turned down, Mayor. When you had some good qualified candidates, that sends a bad message to the people.
No, Mr.
That's gonna
Swear.
put applications in the future for boards. They gotta come check with you first, because if you're
The
not willing to put up their
applications are
name.
still open until this position is filled. I will keep the applications open
Why?
until
If
you
you got a
fill the
list of
position.
good names, Mayor, why not? I'm
Mr.
sure
Swear,
Mr.
it's
Smith
my
is good.
recommendation.
and,
That's
yeah.
it. Is there
You
anyone
play
else
too
that
much
has a
politics
comment?
with it, Mayor.
Is there anyone else? I'd ask you to please vote your machines.
Everybody voted?
Please vote your machines. Motion carries. Ms. Roban, yes. Ms. Jirac, yes. Mr. Swear, no. Mr. Doyle, yes. Mr. Merrill, yes. Mr. Lewis, no. And Mr. Bagnell, yes.
Mr. Smith,
Congratulations,
Thank
and
you,
we
Smith.
appreciate your willingness to serve.
That's not against
Thank
you,
you
Mr.
very
Smith, that's
much.
against her.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your willingness to serve. I know that you'll do a good job. Any one of them can look at Mr. Smith's resume and his application and know how qualified he is and what a good job he will do for us. Mr. Bagnell?
Mayor, just a comment. What was refreshing is to know that we had so many people that were interested in this job. In this day and age when government's getting a bad rap from all the people, it's nice to know that people were willing to serve for this, and we're always looking for volunteers. So please continue to volunteer for boards like this. We need good people on there, so thank you.
And I'm glad you said that because we have an application online if you would like to apply for the boards. We are constantly looking for qualified individuals who are willing to serve. The pay is not very good. You don't get paid at all. But we certainly appreciate the willingness that we have from so many wonderful people in that community that want to serve on our boards. So once again, I want to thank you, Mr. Smith, and we look forward to having you serve. The next agenda item is a resolution. Madam Clerk, agenda item 6.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to execute for and on behalf of the City of New Iberia, Louisiana, a notice of acceptance from Tress Contracting Company, LLC, for the City of New Iberia City Park voting access.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Bagno, second by Mr. Doyle. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Mayor, we were there for the ribbon cutting. It was very nice. And it's pretty blacktop where the boats and the trailers and the cars can pull up. The concern I had, someone had a concern. The other day they went, and I know it's out of our control, but they had cars parked there. I guess they had the playground equipment, and they couldn't park their trailers there. Is there any way we could put signs in that short area to say this is for trailers and vehicles versus just parking for the park? I know they need to park somewhere, and maybe we can get some kind of agreement with the parish for them to park at the Veterans Building, because that wouldn't be a far walk. Other than that, they have to park and walk through the grass. You know what I'm talking about? It's just someone went and put a boat in there. They had 4 cars there with no trailers.
Jane and I actually talked about that before the meeting.
Okay.
I was kind of concerned that might become an issue, but we just kind of see what happened, see if the people left it open for the boaters or not. I mean, I've passed probably at least 12 times since we opened it, and there's only been one time that there hasn't been a boat trailer in the parking spaces. So, I mean, the city can put signs up. I mean, I would just say monitor it if it becomes an issue. You may want to put some signs that say, boat trailer parking only, something like that.
Because I understand the need and the parking, because with the playground equipment, it's so, exciting. People want to go use it, but they park where now the trailers can't. So it might be a problem. It's a good problem, but just a problem we might have to address.
Okay. It's
Thank you.
something we can look at. Mr. Rath?
I wanted to interact with Mr. Dahl was saying about the parking. The parking is real bad right there also for the playground equipment. You have to park almost by the Veterans Building and come back. Maybe that road need to be kind of widened or something, because it's very, very narrow, and,
I want to remind you also that we just resurfaced and did that
I
parking
know.
lot by the senior citizens
I'm
building,
well
which is
aware of
really
that.
nice.
I'm well
So
aware
there's
of that.
quite a
Mayor.
bit of parking.
But but you have to park so far, and you gotta walk across the
It's at the
street to
senior
these little
citizens
kids.
building.
And my little granddaughter runs ahead of me, and I got to watch out for the cars coming. That's why I'm not that ignorant that I didn't know that we just resurfaced the roads and did the parking lot. I'm just saying, maybe it was poor planning to the parking, because it's on a turn like, and you gotta park for the playground further up, or you gotta park by the boat ramp, and I guess that's what's causing the trouble. The road is very, very narrow. I'm well aware that they're narrow. They should have took in consideration when they did it, but I'm saying, because I visit out there pretty regular.
Well, at the time we did the park,
Yeah.
the
Right.
playground even wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know it was coming. I mean, it was something they were raising money
20-year
for.
planning, 20-year planning.
Well, I mean, they were raising money, but we didn't know where it was going to go. We didn't know it was going to be on that end.
It's nice though.
Yeah. Anyone else has questions? Mr. Bagno?
Just a couple of comments, Mayor. Thank you. It's wonderful to know that we do have a problem with too many people in the park. I think that's great. That's a good problem to have. I just want to, because this is in my district, I want to thank a few people, and I hope I don't forget anybody, but Ms. Jane Bro for putting the package together to where we got the grant for the boat dock renovations. The City Park and Rec Department for all the assistance they had, and I think, did Public Works help with some? I think we had to do some preliminary work.
Drainage work
there.
and,
So I hope I'm not
concrete.
forgetting anybody, but all those involved in helping make
Mr.
the project.
Palumbo.
Mr. Palumbo and his
Wastewater
group
did
and
the
the
sewer work.
engineers. It really is a great project to have. And when I first took office, my first year, I got a phone call from a gentleman asking for something like that, and I told him I'd check into it. And unbeknownst to me, we were already working on it, but it's, and it's nice that it's done during my term. I wasn't the one that, I guess, started it, but it was nice to know that it was completed during this term, but I do appreciate that. Before I was born? Before you leave. Before I leave, yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
So
did
anyway,
you have a
we do
comment?
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to comment on what Mr. Dahl said. I agree that the signs should be something we look at to put up because of, it can verify exactly where they're parking, and that way we won't have those problems, you know. And I'm glad y'all brought it up and you and Jane talked about it, because if Mr. Dahl wouldn't have brought it up, I think it's something that we'd have probably been looking at later on, probably get some calls on or something.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Certainly
thank
will
you.
monitor. Thank you very much, and I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously, and I do want to thank Ms. Bro for writing the grant and all the departments. I think that Mr. Bagno did a good job of naming everyone who is involved in this project, and we certainly want to thank you. The next agenda item is a resolution authorizing, Madam Clerk,
A resolution authorizing the use of the city facilities September 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th of September 2014
So
for the
moved.
Sugarcane Festival.
a motion by
Second.
Mr. Swear, a second by Mr. Rack. Is there any discussion? I would like, first of all, to ask everyone that's here with the Sugarcane Festival Association to just be stand and be recognized, please. Can't name all of you, but I know that.
There you go.
Wow. Thank you all for taking the time to come to the meeting, and I think Mr. Bro may want to address the council. Mr. Jesse Bro?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this festival is on its way. It's being planned. I want to thank you for your continued support. We have a great festival planned. Our agenda is being filled as we speak. Again, we have several board members here tonight, along with myself. My name is Jesse Burrow. I'm chairman of the board of the Louisiana Sugar Cane Festival and Fair Association. Along we have Ronnie Gonsalves, vice president, and Debbie Taylor, secretary treasurer. Our first event is next week, the 23rd, and I will say the first event is sold out. It'll be a great event, and we're looking forward to it. Festival weekend. We're just hoping for great weather. If you can give us that, we'd appreciate it. And thank you all for your support. This festival is here in New Iberia. It will stay in New Iberia. And again, thank you for your support.
Thank
Nice
you.
card, Mr. Very
Mr.
nice
Swear?
card.
Oh, one other thing on the card, for those people that are out and about, we have a website up and running. It's highsugar.org. If you have any questions or need any information about this festival, you click on this and it'll give you the information you need. Also, if you want to become a member, we have an icon there so you can become a member. Yes, sir.
I see y'all added a parade, the candy toss parade.
Yes, sir.
I know the boat parade usually the Friday night, and then the children parade the Saturday morning, and the sugar cane. When is that one gonna be?
The way it's going to work, the boat parade will probably leave 30 minutes early. Boat parade will go down the bayou as we always do, turn around, come back to Bulani Plaza. Shortly thereafter, the candy toss parade will start, and the fireworks will be fired, not at the courthouse, not at City Hall this year, at another location closer to Bulani Plaza. Okay?
It'll be on Main Street, the candy?
I have someone that can explain the route better than I can. Doyle?
I knew they were gonna make me get up.
Hi,
Hi, everybody. Okay, the Candy Toss Parade is gonna actually start, I think it's Fulton, right? Runs along the bayou, stage, where stage is, starts there. It's just golf carts, tricked up golf carts, no, motorized vehicles. It starts there as soon as the fireworks display is finished. And it'll head up Fulton towards Iberia Street. It's going to go through the Fade Odo area, through the actual parking lot. Not on Iberia Street, but the parking lot next to Iberia Street. It hits Main Street, goes up till Swan. That's the first little right, a little old gas station sits there. Takes a right there, goes back to Fulton, left on Fulton, back to where they started. Okay? Any questions?
Thank you.
May I just
Mr.
have a
Lewis?
comment? Well, that's one of,
What you do, you gonna be in the parade?
It's gonna be at night or in the day where I can
It's
see?
gonna be at night.
At night?
Starts about 8.
No, I'm gonna mix in the crowd. I'm gonna get in the crowd. But I'd just like to thank Mr. Copel. He's one of the many businesses I represent in the downtown business area. I just want to thank him for coming back and buying his place on Main Street. I didn't have the money to do it, and since he came back and bought it, you know I asked you to. They haven't had a problem there since, because I don't know who he sold it to, but it wasn't in good condition once he sold. But I'd like to thank y'all. I may participate.
You should.
I'm not really scared of the
Yeah,
dog.
all are welcome to.
Thank
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Anyone
Noel.
else?
And we have a few members here tonight. We have a 21-member board of directors, and this covers the whole sugar industry. And we are working very hard to give y'all a great festival. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item is letters from planning and zoning, their recommendations, and the first is agenda item 7A. Madam Clerk?
A recommendation for final subdivision approval, property measuring 1.35 acres at South Lewis Spur, Bayou-Teche, Carver Street, situated in Block 193 or Block 194, city map belonging to Robert P. and Porteous R. Burke into 2 tracts, one being Tract 1 measuring .729 acres.
A motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Begnaud. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Please vote your machines. Motion carried unanimously. The next is another recommendation by planning and zoning.
A recommendation of approval to extend preliminary subdivision approval for the resolution of the New Iberia Board of Trustees, number 1275, dated 9/18/12, for the development of 6 lots of residential property along Indus Street belonging to Al Terrio and Al Terrio Construction.
Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Merrill, second by Ms. Robat. Is there any discussion? Please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item is another recommendation. Madam Clerk?
A recommendation of approval on the placement of a modular home at 501 Texaco Street, owned by Joanne Viator Cunningham, all in accordance with the City of New Iberia Code of Ordinance, Appendix A, Article 888, Schedule of District Regulations adopted, Section 3.4, Residential Residential District.
Motion by Ms. Roban, second by Mr. Doyle. Is there any discussion? Okay.
Jane, we're good?
Everything's good. It's all
Everything's
good.
good? All right.
Please
Let's
vote
go.
your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 7D is another recommendation from planning and zoning.
A recommendation to approve the rezoning of 501 Texaco Street, owned by Joanne Viator Cunningham, from an R1 to an R2, relative to the placement of a modular home.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Roban.
Second.
Second by Ms. Girat. Is there any discussion? Please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item is property standards. Mr. Landry. The first property to revisit was the only property, 412 Bayard Street.
All right, 412 Bayard was sold in the last 30 days. The new owner has purchased the permit, so my motion is to remove.
His recommendation is to remove.
Who's this?
That's my district. Mr. Merrill's.
Second.
Mr. Merrill made that motion, and a second by Ms. Girat. Any discussion? Mr. Lewis?
I passed today and I saw they remodeling.
Yep, they re-roofed it.
Yeah.
They were putting the roof on today. They're gonna do some interior work, but they've got all the major
Everything.
violations corrected.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it.
Good.
Great.
They
Okay.
did a good job.
Please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Next agenda item is the discussion of the asphalt street program, and I have Mr. John Charpentier here, and I also have Mr. Palumbo here
Yeah.
because I asked the wastewater department and our engineers with Domingue and Zabo to look at the streets and determine, we have concerns whenever we're doing street repairs. We have concerns about the wastewater project that we have ongoing. So, you know, we put something at your desk. We tried to compile as much of what you requested. Some of you have requested streets to be repaired that are not on the list. And this was the asphalt streets only, and we had planned to stick with the list of streets that had already been evaluated. And y'all can ask questions of Mr. Charpentier and, you know, see where we can go from here. I do have some concerns about wastewater, and we'll discuss that after, but I'll let, okay, Mr. Lewis?
We might need to bring Mr. Palumbo up first, because this lady on Johnson Alley asked a question, and we get something from Domain Zabo, and it speaks Henry.
Okay, Johnson Alley is on the list. There is some concern, but we can probably work through it, because there will be sewer work to take place on Henry Street.
Okay.
And I'll let Mr. Palumbo address it. We can probably work through it, but
Okay, so I assume you all have Ms. Richard's
put it
comments.
all at their desk.
Right.
Okay, I'll go through those and add some comments that I wrote relative to her comments. First of all, don't hate the messenger. You know, we have $6.5 million worth of work to get done in the next year, sewer rehab work. Unfortunately, some of that is gonna be in conflict with some of these streets that you have on your list. Henry Street at Johnson Alley, basically, the impacts on that project there are gonna be on Henry Street, for the most part. With that being said, you know, if you go and overlay Johnson Alley, and we have a piece of equipment that tracks over onto Johnson Alley, there's the potential for that equipment to damage that new overlay, okay? We don't have any excavation work or rehab work on Johnson Alley, but, you know, the potential exists for that to occur, all right?
Let me just make a comment. We wanted to make you all aware of all this, and then you can make the decision based on what Mr. Palumbo's going to tell you. But we wanted you to be aware of all the circumstances. Okay.
The next bullet item, Cypress Street, from Everett to Kirk. We're actually gonna be working on the side of that street, but again, we're gonna have some bore pits along Cypress Street.
What are board pits?
That's the big pits, probably big enough to put a car in, where we pull a machine in there and pull a piece of pipe from down the street through.
Like what they're doing on East Dale Street?
Right. That's one type of bore pit. Basically, exactly. Yeah. Okay. We actually will be crossing Cypress at its intersection with Kirk.
Now, as you're going through the roads, can you just kind of, as you're going through them, just give us like on a 1 to 10, like 1 being not severe and 10 being how severe this work is, like so that we know, that I can kind of put some little notes so I know, like, because I don't want to, you know what I mean?
The risk with doing that, Natalie, is these are all planned, right? And all the work we're doing is subsurface, so you can't predict what you're gonna run into subsurface, and something changes in the field. You know, if we take all the precautions we can to execute the plan that we have, but when it fails and something is there that we didn't realize, and we have to move to the middle of the street or the other side of the street, you know, that 1 can go to a 10, okay?
Okay.
So
All right, so
I hate to do that, you know, it's the nature of the beast of construction underground and not knowing what might be there. And again, we take, you know, all the precaution we can in trying to find out what's down there before we start, but it doesn't always work. So, the next bullet item was Constance at Parkview. We do have a force main also on the side of Parkview that will pass beneath Constance. If you overlay Constance, you know, we're gonna have heavy equipment moving back and forth, you know, that part of Constance might receive some damage from heavy equipment. Also from, you know, the actual crossing. Texas Street, Kirk to McElhenney. Again, we have a force main installation plan for the side of the road. You know, we might do it by bore, we might do it by open cut, and if we do that, whatever the case is, we have heavy equipment that's gonna be running up and down that street. The next bullet item, Lewis at 20 Arpent. I'm gonna skip that one right now. Basically, that item and the last bullet item. Let's just jump down to 20 Arpent Road. That's basically the same project. I think she just listed it twice. From Jefferson Terrace to Ann Street on 20 Arpent Road, we will be tearing that street up. That's a 10, and I know it's gonna be a 10, okay? Now,
I got a question.
the plan, let me finish it on that project, and then you can ask your question. The plan for that is we're advertising for that project right now. So, had we known the street overlay project was gonna be, let as well, as soon as it is, we probably could have required in the contract documents that the contractor finish that part of the project first. That still might be able to happen. If he says, sure, no problem, I'll do the piping part of this project first and get in and get out of the way, then there's still a chance you could come back with the overlay project and get that done. But our impact to that piece of 20 Arpent is gonna be a 10, I can tell you that.
Is that 4 or 5 district?
It's 5.
Five, it goes into
Okay,
4, though.
so there's still a chance on the timing of these projects that we may be to get in and get out, and then your road project come behind with.
Because my question is, look like, and I don't know, it looks, the engineers submitted this list a while ago, and I'm looking per, the board testing was done on these roads. I know what you're saying about 20 Arpent, it's paper thin now, it's breaking up. It started doing that with the flooding, and then we got that fixed. But I understand what you're saying, but for this to come at this point, and the engineers that's doing our roads, where was the breakdown? And tonight, I'm trying to see where the breakdown in the sharing of information
Well,
was,
I
because
can answer that.
I'm looking at Constance, Texaco, all of these
Texas Street, we looked
streets,
over
Texas,
I
all
can
these
answer
streets
that.
are in the top
I can
worst
answer that.
roads in the city.
I can answer that. And you know, the 8 years I've been working over here trying to get this consent decree under control, which is where we are now. We're at the end of it. You know, we've worked. I've got correspondence with John from 2009 on these same projects. So, what we did was we implement our strategies of rehab, okay, for the consent decree to meet the mandates of the consent decree. Over time, we see how they perform. If they performed well, there may not be a need to go further, okay? So we were at that point, just these projects were occurring at the same time, and we were like, let's keep our fingers crossed that we don't have to go do this project. Some of that worked, some of our rehab hasn't worked, so we have to go to the next step. So it's not so much as a breakdown as a timing issue, okay? We did stay in touch with each other. I have emails back from 2009. It's just unfortunate that the roads you have to repair are the same roads that have the sewer that have to be addressed.
We skipped the road just before we get into like big discussion. Can you do the Daspit?
Daspit, Colleen, and Texaco, you know, there's a possible pipeline replacement. We're reviewing that information, that study information, that additional study information that we just got back, and she just doesn't know quite yet if
Do we
that.
know an expected decision date?
Yeah, it should be soon. It should be soon. I mean,
A week, a month?
Yeah, within a month. Yeah.
1 month?
We'll know what we need to do that, probably well before that.
Okay.
Just I don't have an answer for you.
Just a minute, I'll get y'all, Mr. Swear.
Ben, how come y'all didn't get with the engineers on the first round on Dale Street? They're tearing up Dale Street right now, where everywhere where it was patched up with cement.
Again, at the time,
Tearing up brand new cement.
again, at the time, Dale Street was bid and let, our study was ongoing. We had no idea of the condition of the sewer lines
Yeah, but y'all knew which streets we were gonna do, so y'all should have went do those streets before they
We didn't know the sewer was bad under Dale Street. The study data, look, Mr. Swear, if I knew where every bad sewer line was when I started the job in 2006, I'd have gone and fixed it. It's an ongoing study and evaluation that we have to do to pinpoint where those problems are.
Y'all didn't check out their street before they overlaid it, before they repaired all that cement?
No, we did not.
Well, y'all-
There's
that's what I'm
only
saying.
so much money to do so much work a year, and that schedule was laid out. If I'd have had all the money in the world, buddy, I could have got it in 2006.
Now it's costing you double, because you're throwing away good cement right now that you just put down, and you gotta replace it again.
There are some patches that we're doubling up on. That's the nature of the beast in doing both of these types of projects at the same time.
Mr. Merrill?
Yeah, on Lewis and 20 Arthur with the pipe burst, and I see you have in parentheses, impact should be limited to Lewis Street. Would that have an effect on us with the traffic as far as having to shut the traffic down? Because I see you saying going up and down Lewis Street also.
Yeah, we're gonna have some traffic problems. We don't foresee them being real severe. We're gonna have one lane of traffic in the westbound lane open probably all the time on Lewis, and both northbound lanes will be open.
Okay, when we decide to do that, will you let us know ahead of time where, we can let the paper, newspaper, and let the people, because Lewis Street is a heavy travel street.
Right.
And breaking it down to one lane is gonna cause some traffic problems.
I agree.
At certain days,
And we
certain
do-
times of the day.
We do have public notices that go to the TVs, the radio stations, that gets posted, I think, on the website and in the newspaper, so.
Do you know how long possibly it would take to,
As soon as they finish this last stretch on Dale Street, with, knock on wood, it'll be another week, maybe 2 at the most.
Okay.
They're gonna turn and start heading north on Lewis Street, so.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Vince, on this, your proposed work, if y'all go into, let's say, Constance Street at Parkview, and you do your rehab, then you're gonna put the street back to good condition.
Absolutely.
Will that money will be coming from your department?
That's correct.
Will that relieve any of the money that's we have in the program now? Because since you're going ahead and doing the repairs to the street, would that make this estimate cost less that was proposed to us from the engineer? Because you will be putting it back, and I'm sure you'll be putting it back in good, right condition. Would that not relieve some of this money?
I think it could, Dan. If you decided to go ahead with these projects, we could definitely work with John and say, look, set your project limits up to here and leave this part of the street as is, because we're gonna be coming through, and then we're gonna take care of that
Yeah. Okay,
From,
John, you go ahead.
from further up.
That actually probably won't work because most of
right.
these streets are reconstructions.
Yeah.
The majority of these streets are complete reconstruction.
engineers.
But
So
basic,
I'm not-
but and like on concrete streets, stuff like that, it would be fine. But most of these are asphalt, and most of these are to the point where we can't save them. They're beyond. If it was a patch and repair job, it would be fine because he's gonna be patching and it would be no.
But that's what I'm asking.
But-
He's gonna patch and repair, and then
But when you do a reconstruction, that's not got to come out. I mean, the equipment that they use, they have to remove solid patching because it's counterproductive to the reconstruction process, and it's hard on the equipment. So I mean, they take all that stuff out when they do the reconstructions. So like, if we were doing patch and overlays, that would definitely be possible, but that's not what this project is. It's primarily a reconstruction project.
Right, or if there were concrete streets.
Yeah,
where
concrete
you cut
streets.
out sections.
Right, yeah.
where it's
That
not-
would be the case, but pretty much every street on here, except for maybe 1 or 2, are meant for a complete, full-blown reconstruction.
Mr. Bagno?
Two things. One is Texas Street, McElhenney, we've been talking about that one with the sewer station there.
Right.
Now we gotta go back in there and put force mains,
Basically? We do, and that is a result of the previous rehab work not stopping the SSOs along Front Street, which is a big red flag on the
Texas Street. That's been since my day one in office. We've
Yeah.
been in Texas and McElhenney, and we've been fighting that.
I mean, there's a lot of streets, my recommendation to you all is, and just for what it's worth, my 2 cents is to wait 1 year, give me a year to spend this money and get out of y'all's way, and then jump back on.
Is that how long it's gonna take you to get off this
Yes.
list done?
Hold on
Yes.
just a
All right.
minute, one at a time, please.
That was gonna be my next question.
Mr. Bagno?
You led right into it. Is Mayor, I think we have 4 or 5 streets that are in my district that we had a listing from the engineer, and then some that I gave you that were important streets, and now we're finding out that that's where they want to do sewer work. Either we go find the next level of streets that need to be repaired, or we hold off and get this done, get the consent decree out the way. I'm kind of leaning towards doing that, and let's keep that money in the pile and do all the roads. Even we'll have more money next year. Let's do more roads that year. But I can't make a decision on this now until we get a little more feel for it.
I've talked to the engineers about this, and it would not be recommended to split this project up. For cost purposes, it's much more cost-effective to do the whole project at one time. So I can let John address those questions.
That's the road. We've got money.
When y'all
help
say
come
do
from
the road project all at one time, what does that mean? Because we're not gonna be doing all of these roads at the same time.
It's one contract.
But you bid it
One
out.
contract and
Right, but if
one-
we start, like say we pick our list, say today, bam, we pick our list, and you gotta start, and you have what? We've got what, 8 roads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 roads. Okay, how long is it gonna take to start and finish this list?
This list right here, you probably, once you get a contract let, you're probably looking in, realistically, 9 months.
9 months, and y'all gonna do all of this?
9 to 12 months, depending on weather.
Good weather.
But it would be about 3 months before we can even start.
Yeah, I mean, even if you said, okay, this is what we're gonna do today, it'd be 2 months before I could have the bid package ready, and the public bid process is 3 months, so.
Now, is there any way that we can prioritize and work parallel with, like meet in the middle? Like Vince start on the stuff that he needs to start on first, and then you start on the roads that need the least wastewater work, and just try to meet in the middle and try to negotiate that some way? Or is
You
that
can,
not-
but I mean, you would have to have that kind of upfront in your scheduling, because if a contractor's gonna, be delayed.
He's doing the whole
he's-
job.
He's gonna wanna know that up front, because he's got a one schedule for that, and, his costs are gonna reflect that.
Let me say one thing too, Natalie. There are 2 more rehab projects in Sewer Basin B, which is inside the loop of the bayou, and Basin D, which is Acadian Acres area. We're not to the point in the design of those projects to even know what we're gonna impact yet. So there's 2 projects that may have more impacts in those areas as well. So that's a little salt in the wound, but,
So it's like we can't start one without doing all. I mean, my only concern is, my only concern is just I know I have a different, unique situation than everybody because I have my money from the parish, and how long they're gonna keep committing that to me, I don't know. But being that I have one road that I'm really, pushing for, and I have that money, but I mean, I'm definitely not gonna be selfish and be like, well, we rolling because I have money from the parish, but that's my concern, to go talk to them and see how they're gonna feel about that, because
You might be able to get some more.
watch it.
Well, and there's a possible pipe replacement on Das, but we're waiting on some consulting
Right.
on that.
I mean, and my other question, I guess my other thought is, okay, say we decide, some people up here are gonna be ready to go, and some are gonna be like, hey, let's stay. So my question is, if we say let's go, okay, say we redo this road, and then here you come with wastewater, what is your opinion of, even if you do the wastewater work and then we repair the road, it's really the road's not gonna be as solid as if it was laid together. And what's y'all opinion on what kind of percentage are we hurting the road?
Well, on a reconstruction, you're hurting it a lot, because basically when you rebuild
Like
an
how
asphalt,
much years are we? If it's a 5-year road, are we taking away 2
it
years?
depends on who patches it, how good of a job they do. If the sewer department's doing the patching. I mean, there's a lot of other factors of what kind of material you use.
Who's supposed to put the roads back together once y'all tear them up?
Our
Contract.
sewer contractor.
What's our reputation with them?
Very good. I mean,
Yes,
I'm a beg to differ with John a little bit. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know the whole full reconstruction. I thought this was just an overlay project. But, if we tear up a road and we need to reconstruct it to, use Fieldcrete as a base material and come all the way up with it, I mean, we can possibly do that.
But it's not gonna be the same.
I mean, it won't look pretty either. It's not gonna look as pretty, but structurally, I think you'll be 80% or 90% of what you had if you did this all at once. Am I wrong?
Mayor.
Dahl?
I mean,
Eighty
look,
percent?
80 to
80
90,
80.
80 to 90. I mean, you know, and I think I'm being very liberal with that number. Our engineers have very good inspectors. We're very picky on the inspectors we use, and we don't allow substandard work in any part of rehab, including the replacement of the roads that we, the patches that we have to replace.
Mayor, the original estimate that we got was $2.7 million.
Right.
Then we got this new one today at our desk for 2.1.
Well, I can explain to you. We took everybody's recommendations and tried to put as many of the streets that were evaluated in here. Some people put streets in that were either concrete or they had not been evaluated in this process. And we tried to stay within the amount of money that we had.
And what is
So
that?
this was just a recommendation. Well, if you look at it. if
No, I
you-
looked at that, but what is our budget that we have?
Budget's $2 million.
It's $2 million.
It's $2 million, but if you look at, let me just explain, this is the sheet that he's looking at, the new sheet. If you look at it, the amount was $2,123,753. You had to add in $100,000 was what we're estimating it'll be to stripe Lewis and Jefferson Terrace. Okay, so that total comes up to, you see, the $2,223,000. Then we deducted out the $185,000 that parish government has committed. So we were at $2,034,000.
I thought you was paying half of that project, man.
Well, the project's now at $480. They only committed to $185.
Right. But that was supposed to be half of the project when they
Well,
committed to. How you
well,
got back- how you
it's
got
up to 480 now, that's what it is. But there's a 15% contingency, so we were hoping that the possibility would be that we could maybe do these alternates, which alternate 1 was Dotrieve Drive, alternate 2 was Bryan Street, and alternate 3 was Andrew Street. That was $237,175. So, you know, we would anticipate and hope that we could do all of these roads that we have listed. But it's gonna depend on the bids, when we get the bids in. These are estimates.
Well, the reason I say that, because I see the alternates is some of the same streets that we had on the original
list.
Right.
thing.
We were trying to work within our parameters with the amount of money
Because
we had.
the original, when I went through the districts, the original numbers, they had about 580,000 in District 1, 0 in District 2, 60,000 in District 3,
Where-
940,000
Where
in
you got
District 4.
60,000 in District 3?
It's split between 3 and 5 on Julia, Washington
Julia
thing.
done mine. That's true, do.
Oh, should do, okay. 935, 8,004, 343, and 812,006. So, I understand this, but I'm with Ms. Boudreaux, even her street, even though it's not really traveled, I couldn't live there.
It's on there. It's
I
not-
understand
it's
that,
on
but
there.
I think we're gonna have to make some decisions where the worst is.
And I
And
think
I
that's-
think, what we think maybe the worst is, the engineer
We
think
let
the
the
worst is.
engineers-
But I think it might have to be more than just that, since you do represent it. And if I wouldn't seen her street and road on it, I wouldn't understand her concern, even though it was not a main.
But we
street.
have it
I
on
understand
the
that.
list. It was on the list. Wait,
But
it was on the
the
list.
question is, if we're gonna start tearing up streets to do sewer rehab, then
Right.
we don't wanna get
But,
involved in
and,
all that.
and
We
let
wanna
me
make sure
let,
that-
if y'all would just give us, before you ask any more questions, let Mr. Charpentier address how they came to these streets. And I want to remind all of you, there are plenty of concrete streets in the city that have been addressed. We've been doing the street program since about 2009, I guess. And there are a number of streets that have been addressed, and like Mr. Rack's district, a lot of her streets are concrete. So
Same thing
that's
for
why
Roberts.
there were no,
Majority.
there were no
Mr. Stewart.
streets on this particular project for you, because we've addressed a lot
But I
of the
wanted
streets.
to say one thing, it wasn't a bad thing. They seem to think I have no asphalt street in my
You
district.
do have some.
But I have, Norma,
I have a lot
and
in my
from
district.
Gilbert on Field Street to Lander Drive. The street is good, but on the side, to the right coming from Hopkins, there's some hole by the mailbox, and someone fell in one of them hole and broke their ankle in the 1200 block of Field, and I wish that they would just come along there and pour a thin layer of something to cover those holes right in front of the mailbox.
Right.
I'm hiring a good lawyer.
Okay,
No, it
Mr.
didn't
Swear,
happen.
did you have a question before, Mr.
Yeah, John.
Trumpeting?
Yes, sir.
Walton Street, is that not blacktop?
It's asphalt over concrete.
Asphalt?
Over concrete.
Over concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a concrete base that
Yeah.
sometime in the past was topped with asphalt.
But the blacktop is with the bad part, they repaired the concrete on the other end, but it's the asphalt on this end that's
Well,
real
the
bad.
asphalt's a reflection of the concrete below.
Y'all did the worst, the best part of Walton y'all did, the worst part y'all left.
Let me ask
you'll-
you a question. By putting the asphalt on top of the concrete, do that make a better surface?
No, that was you had a lot of that happening in the late '70s and '80s because the asphalt was so cheap.
No, but in the,
I
in
mean,
the
it does.
late-
It
in the
it
early 2000s.
well that
they
once
did Rosalie,
once you put an
and
asphalt
Rosalie was concrete.
once you put asphalt on a concrete road, you can't never undo that process. I mean, you forever turn that into a black
But
top
and then
road.
I want the little oil. You remember when they sprayed the oil on the street?
Yes, ma'am.
That was not considered concrete or asphalt. Am I correct?
No, that
because
was
they
it's
did it
a,
on
it's a
Field,
seal.
huh?
It's called a seal.
Because
It's
they
a-
put it on Field Street. I want to correct the record. Field Street was a concrete street, is, and they sprayed that on there. And I argued with y'all, telling me that the older
No,
man.
that wasn't
No,
us.
the older man.
Well,
the
we didn't
older
do
man.
that project.
He told me Field Street was asphalt. And every street in my district, through her dad and my dad administrated, was concrete, except Norma and that part of Field Street, the extension to Lander Drive from Gilbert.
Well, but Field Street was overlaid with asphalt at some point in the past. I mean, it's a concrete road that was asphalted over.
It's the Earl, it's the Earl, you can see the concrete.
I went down
Mr. Dahl.
on Walton Street, what Mr. Sweet was talking about. So you're saying that overlay is more to than that? You can't just overlay on top of that concrete? You think there's concrete work that has to be done?
No, anywhere you have, I mean, most of, pretty much in the past when they asphalted with concrete, because asphalt was so much cheaper than busting up concrete and repairing it. So it was a cheap way for municipalities to repair the streets and get extra life out of the roads. So, but what happens is it becomes a more expensive repair process later down the road because you got to break up, when you have a failure, you got to break it up and then you got to patch it back. But in most cases, you just can't overlay the road
That's what
because
I'm asking.
you have curb and gutter. So you start affecting the drainage on the street. If you start filling in the curb, and you have some places where the curb's almost completely covered with asphalt. So in a lot of streets that we did in the previous years, we actually had to mill the edges in order to get the curb drainage back, and then basically overlaid it again. There's some roads like Trotter Street, there was 7 inches of
Yeah.
asphalt on that road.
Yeah, that had much drain left.
Yeah, I mean it was just something that was done, and it's a process you can never reverse.
But it's not a certainty that if it's blacktop over concrete, you have to redo the concrete? Or you-
No, I mean, we because it's considered an asphalt road now,
Yeah.
we patch it with asphalt. So we break out the bad parts of the concrete and we just put a asphalt patch. And that asphalt is, structurally sound just as concrete. And then we overlay the whole thing as one big
Oh,
unit.
So you repair it with asphalt?
Yes.
Even though it's concrete underneath?
Yeah. It's easy, it's a lot easier.
Versus the streets that's totally concrete, then you just use concrete?
That's correct.
Okay.
None of these streets have cement underneath now?
The only
How many
one,
does?
the only one that does was Julia Street, and I'm trying to think, trying to remember. It's been a while since I went over this list. I know Julia Street for sure has it.
Or is that just a little short?
I think Indes, but Indes was just kind of a special because the state did the bridge and they kind of messed up the road, and they wouldn't fix that part of the road going to the bridge. That's the only reason that's included on there is because of the wear and tear from the project, the bridge project.
They're supposed to come in and do 25 feet, that's it. from
Yeah,
the
well, I
approach,
mean,
so-
they traveled a lot more than 25
I know,
feet.
we tried to get them to fix it, but
But the rest of these are, an asphalt constructed, with salt cement, process.
Mr. Lewis?
John, I got one question. I know these street improvements for 2013 and we're in 14.
Yeah.
But looking at the information I have here, and looking at the cost, and I'll share it with you. But Bradley Lane, and I know its construction costs increase, but I can't believe Bradley Lane, for example, from Southport Boulevard to, I can't pronounce that, must be a French name.
That's the cul-de-sac. That's the
But,
turnaround at the end.
Yeah, it's a cul-de-sac.
It was, at that time, it's 100 and, well, it was 103. It's 145,000 now.
There was we changed the format on the sheet. On the older sheets from last year, we had just the construction cost of the road, and then at the bottom, we had tallied up all your engineering, inspection, and testing. But from a budget standpoint, you need to have the full budget allotted. So we basically, in every road, we put the percentage of engineering, testing, inspection, and we added contingencies for bidding and for construction, because this would be a unit price project. So those costs that were at the bottom of the sheet got divided up into every road. So that changed a lot of the cost.
And
I'm
remember,
assuming you gave these costs.
Yes.
And I'm just, I mean, you explaining, but,
Those costs were
a
in the
30
original sheet, but it was tallied up at the bottom for a total budget. But the
Right.
problem is we were taking streets out, putting streets in, and every time you do that, it affects your bottom line as far as your additional services.
pretty much every street that's on this one, with the exception of quite a few, but the ones that's listed in this draft, you talking some 26,000. You talking about some big increases on some roads just last year, and I understand with the construction, cost of construction, all that's going up, but that's some big increases when you say it last year.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. The old list was just basically what the actual construction cost was. It didn't include your engineering, your testing, or your inspection. That was a separate cost.
Testing.
Yeah, you have to, when you do a road, you have, we budget 4% for testing.
Well, I mean, I have
Can I-
another list
Can I see it?
that shows you all the roads y'all tested.
No, this is just the ones we evaluate.
Well, I mean,
And
it's
there
a,
was no
it's,
cost.
no, but I mean,
This was the
it's a
original
whole
evaluation.
list of streets. Yes, sir.
We can't start anything.
Is he here?
Yeah.
What do we need make a decision on?
We did have some changes. Construction, prices, we got some updates from the contractors.
District
There was quite a
1,
bit of
4,
change
and
in
6
construction
got the bulk of everything.
as far as-
District 3 gas.
How long ago did we get this?
This is
That was in September of last year, and they had that much of a difference in the,
That's what I'm,
This is like too much going on. There's no
because that's
water.
not that
all I'm
much of,
saying.
it couldn't have been that much of a difference from September to now in the cost of the
Well,
material.
we've got this was originally produced in March.
okay,
It just
we might
carried
have to have a
on.
separate meeting if y'all want to go into more
okay, ma'am.
detail.
Yes, ma'am, because
You know,
the apples, I mean,
okay, I
it's
guess
not
what
adding
y'all,
up.
we need to decide is, before we even move forward, do y'all want to go ahead? I mean, does this council want to move forward with the street program this year and just take the chance that some of the streets that we do may have to get torn up? Or do you want to wait 6 months and revisit it and see where they are with the wastewater construction?
I should have brought my
Um,
volleyball with it.
I mean,
Gambling with the taxpayers' money there, Mayor.
I mean, my personal recommendation would be to wait 6 months and see where we are with wastewater, but
That would
the
be
council's
better to
gonna
do.
make this decision.
Would that be better to do?
I can't commit to any type of decision like that today because I need to go
I
back
have
to Parish Council. One, this project went up 100,000. Two, now it's not gonna be done in any time frame near what they thought. So, I mean, we can put it on another meeting. I mean, I think everybody needs a little time to think about this. It's kind of sudden. We all got it tonight, and so everybody wants to
Right.
talk, and we have two people. Just too much going on.
Well, I wanted to put it for discussion, to give you an opportunity to look at it. What we tried to do was take the list some of the lists that you had submitted and tried to put as much as we could in here, and live within the amount of money that we have allocated. You know, personally, if it were me, I'd want to wait and get some more of this wastewater work done and not come back and tear up streets. But that's, y'all are gonna make the decision. Mr. Swear?
John, did you do a cost analysis of Walton Street?
We evaluated it in the initial study, but I don't know, we did not actually go in and do a cost estimate for it. It was on the evaluation list originally.
How much would it cost to do that?
I mean, to do the evaluation?
Yeah.
I mean, I could do that, and, I mean, we have a contract already, I mean,
No, how much would it cost, additional cost?
to do the road, to the
No,
construction?
to evaluate this road.
You probably look, if I get the testing people involved, you're probably looking at about $2,000 to go do the cores, and sample them, because we didn't core every one we evaluated. We only cored a narrowed list. We want to kind of narrowed it down to about 30
Does it mean that much to you, Mr. Sawyer?
Well,
I
let me
think-
talk to the parish and see if I can get them to come on board with it. You know, I'll talk to Troy and see if he can come on board with getting up half that way we'll get a cost and see.
Okay. I do have an
Mr.
answer
Dahl?
on Mr. Lewis's
Yes, okay.
point. If I can just,
Okay.
I guess correct it, not correct it, but just explain it. On the previous estimates, and you can look at the one you have, the first note at the bottom of the budget estimate summary, it says no construction contingency has been included in this proposed estimate. We recommend a 5% contingency for bidding and a 10% contingency for construction. Now, what we did is when we reissued this list, because these numbers get looked at and most people think, well, that's all it's gonna cost, but that's not the case when you do unit prices. So what we did on the revised list is we added that 15% on every budget list.
So you
That way,
over-allowing.
that way you're allowing it when you basically budget your money.
Right, so you're over allowing on line.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, because we don't know what the
Right, I
bids are gonna come
understand
back
that. I
at.
understand that.
And unit price work, I mean, we don't know what's the roads
Right.
underneath the road.
So some of these costs might be a lot less than what you
Yeah,
have on some of
it's
these
possible.
projects.
It's very possible. It's just we automatically put in 15% for construction
That's understandable.
because of the nature of the work.
I would hope so.
Well, Mr. Dahl was next and then Mr. Bagnell.
There are some streets on this list that they have to do, would not affect some of the streets. And you're saying the best bang for the bucks is bidding a $2 million project. Say if the project would be divided in two, because the streets that won't be affected could maybe get started. Will it be that much difference in the bidding process or that much difference in cost to the city splitting into two, so some streets can
That's what I'm
start
talking
being?
about. That's what I'm talking.
I mean, you're gonna have some doubling costs as far as, because with any construction cost, you have fixed costs. You have mobilization costs, you have, cost for signs and barricades. So you do have some double cost there, and also, it's been, in all these projects, the bigger the project, the better pricing we get. I can't give you a definitive, you
No,
know,
just-
if you save 10%, if it's gonna save you 5%, I really don't know. We always try to make it the most appealing for these contractors. Especially right now, there's a lot of work going on and, you know, contractors are very busy.
And so Vince made a comment, in 6 months, we really would be, or the mayor, more knowing where we at. But the process
costs
of
can
taking
go
a
up in
bid
6 months, too.
for this project, advertise, get the bids and accept it, how long does that take?
Any bid process is a standard 3 months.
3 months.
Okay.
We need at least 2 months to actually finalize a package, do the drawings, do the project manual, to finish up whatever the project's gonna be. So you're looking at least 5 months before you actually accept bids. And then normally that takes another month before you actually start construction.
About
So-
6 months.
Yeah, you're 6 months, you're 6 months away, even if you say
Except
go
for
today.
tonight.
But a question on that too, what Mr. Dawes said.
Wait, I'm sorry, but Mr. Bagnell was next and then I'll come to you. Mr. Merrill?
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Bagnell?
Okay, well, that's, you kind of cleared up a lot of it right there, and that's what I was gonna say, is that, you know, having been involved in bidding processes, I can see where the 50% was added in this time, we understand that. Costs have gone up in the last 6 months, when you said you started this in March of last year, we got it in September. We're already halfway through this year.
That's what I'm
Costs are
talking
gonna
about.
continue going up, so we're gonna be
That's my
faced with an additional cost as we go
Could be-
further.
could be in
But
2014.
I'm not happy with the way the situation's come down now, because we were asked to look at roads, pick roads, and now we
Exactly.
decide we can't do roads. I just, I don't know
Well,
if we can make a
until
true
we had an
decision.
idea what
Yeah.
roads we were gonna do, you
Yeah.
know, Mr. Palumbo, we
Well-
just never know either, because they're constantly doing testing, and, you know, as Mr. Palumbo says, he tells me and staff, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's something that's very difficult to pinpoint.
Well, we're mandated to do the sewer rehab. That's a must.
Right.
That's got to get done.
Right.
The roads, we definitely want to do something. We have the money for it. We need to do something. We need to let the people know we're doing something good. I can't see us spending double money, taxpayer money, like Mr. Swear said, on doing roads and having to break them later and come back and repair them. That's, you know, not acceptable. So at this point, I'm not sure where we can go with this, other than we have to do a little more discussion on it. I don't know if
Right.
we'll get that done tonight.
Mr. Merrill?
Yeah, I'm with Calvin on some of that, what he said, but then some of the things what Mr. Dahl said too. I believe that, you know, you're looking at some costs that he already said that went up because of the fact that you have to be able to do that. And I understand what he's saying. In business, you can't go out and do streets without over allowing what you may come into when you get ready to do the project. But then if you got some of these streets that can be done right now, and you're talking about maybe 6 months from now before we even get started, we're gonna be into 2015, the cost is not gonna be staying the same when you're talking about waiting and doing this again. We're gonna be evaluating this again, and we're gonna be looking at more costs. You know, to me, I think we ought to look at some of the streets that can be done, if we can do this, because the list that you have right here doesn't have that many streets on here compared to all these streets that's on this list. That's gonna get broken up. Majority of streets on here is not gonna have any problems. to be
Mr.
done.
Merrill, remember I made the comment though, there's two projects that are still under design that we have no idea where, in Basin B and Basin D, which is
Right.
inside the loop of the bayou. So we still have a
understand
couple of
that.
projects that haven't been evaluated relative to conflicts. Just keep that in the back. of
I
your-
understand that, but what I'm saying is on here,
Wait, let me-
majority of these
let me-
streets on here is not
Let me ask
gonna be
Mr.
broken up.
Palumbo a question. If we waited 6 months and came back, would you have a better handle on exactly, and try and look at the streets that we are considering
Right.
and
Yeah, Mayor, for the Adrian Street project, which is gonna affect that last bullet item on Susan's list, we received bids today. We're gonna award that in 30 days and issue a notice to proceed. So chances are, my contract is gonna be in and out before this thing ever gets to go to bid. You know, so time, yes.
I mean, what I'm saying is if we came back in 6 months, we'd have a better idea where you are, then we'd start the process. That'd be 3 months for the bidding and to get going. And then we'd be almost into we could actually
Right.
get started the next year. You should be almost finished.
I would say waiting 6 months, yeah, and before you bid this would give us probably a pretty good handle on everywhere we need to be.
I mean, the other thing is I'd like to ask the council to please look at what we did. I mean, we can't keep going back and evaluating more streets. We're spending more money going back and doing the evaluations. This was supposed to be just asphalt on this part of the project. And, you know, we went on the recommendations of the engineers as to which streets they felt needed to be done. We had this last list that was given to y'all, then I asked for you to give us the names of the streets you wanted to do. Tried to include as many as we could and stay within the parameters of the amount of money that we have to spend. So I guess, I mean, the first step is I wanna make sure that y'all are okay with what we did. If you're not, you know, we can't move forward anyway. But personally, I do not wanna spend taxpayers' dollars and start overlaying, you know, doing asphalt streets and then coming back and start tearing them up. They never, as good as the repairs are, they're never like they were when you first did the project, once you start tearing them up. I mean, we had problems, was it Oak Street? You know, you can look around town where we did overlays and then had to come back and do sewer work. There's big patches all over. And as much as possible, I'd like to avoid that. Mr. Merrill?
I understand what you're saying too, but it's like we going in circles here, because we should have foreseen all that before we went through all of these meetings. And we told some of our constituents, I'm talking about me, I don't know about the rest of them, but I told some of our constituents, some of these streets that we talked about on here, that we was gonna look at doing. Now, all of a sudden, out the blue, we going back to square one.
It's not all of a sudden, we have projects that are.
We wasn't talking about
Okay.
not holding up for
Y'all
6 months.
just decide what y'all wanna do.
Can I just make a suggestion that we revisit this in a month and everyone go and do their job and take their time to talk to their constituents and see what they want. And I know I can tell you all, I'm gonna make a diligent effort to contact all of you and ask your opinion. That way when we come back in a month, we'll feel more on the same page, because there's too much new information that was presented tonight. We're just gonna keep talking in circles.
And the price gonna keep going up too.
Palumbo still needs 6 months though, regardless.
Mr. Doyle?
I did, take the time to call, I think, every councilman up here about which streets they were, wanted in their district, since I operate, represent the whole city. But what we did not have was the information Mr. Palumbo gave us tonight.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I think Ms. Roban's right. I mean, another couple meetings, put it back up here and see where we're at, because it was just new information we got.
Yeah.
And for us to try to decide tonight, I think.
And well, I think honestly, if you consider it, maybe it'd be about a 6 month, if we can start the project back up again in about 6 months, we need to decide. All this time, you can look at your list, we can come up with make a decision as to what streets you want to overlay. And then if we come back in about 6 months and start the project, we'll be ready to begin when Vince is finished. But, I hate to see us start doing
The
these.
6 months is really 9 months. Because we have to do the bid.
What if 6 months
but he-
pass and something else come up?
No, the price is gonna go up,
Well,
that's
y'all,
what.
I think Ms. Roban did have a good idea. I don't know if she wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we revisit this in a month, and that everyone please make a
Second by Mr.
continuous
Bailey.
effort to contact co-counsel
It's
and
discussion, that's right. I put it on for discussion. Please take your packets home, review it. If you have questions, please call us. I'm sure we can schedule meetings with the engineers if some of you want to meet with them to do further discussions on a one-on-one basis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, the next agenda item is we have, Mr. Trey Hike, our city attorney, would like to address the council at this time. What's going on?
Thank you, John.
Mayor, members of the council, general public, I'll be brief. We won't need to time my time tonight. I just wanted to step before you tonight and let you all know that I've come to a decision in my life. After a lot of thoughts and prayer, I've decided to become a candidate for city judge in New Iberia. This is a position that I've been interested in for years. And now with the retirement of Judge Segura, Robert Segura, I can now pursue that position. The campaign effort's going to take a lot of my time and effort and energy. All of you know, you've all been through that process. This is new to me. So I'm here tonight to stand before you and tell you that regrettably, I'm going to resign as city attorney. I've appreciated your trust, allowing me to serve as your city attorney. Each of you, mayor, all the council members have been very patient with me as I learned that role as a new incoming city attorney, approximately a year and a half. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve with each and every one of you. I wish all of you the best moving forward. I'll be seeing you in the future. I look forward to working with each of you to improve this community, either through overlaying roads or whatever else we face going forward. I'm not going anywhere. So I appreciate your time and thank you for allowing me to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Hike. We appreciate all the work that you've done for the city. You've done a tremendous job.
Good luck.
Okay, the next agenda item is a recommendation to appoint Mr. J. Scott DeQueer as city attorney. A motion by Mr. Swear, a second by Mr. Rack. Is there any discussion? I think Mr. DeQueer might want to say a few words before we vote.
I would just like to thank you. I don't want to hold up the process any, but I would like to ask that you have the same patience and indulgence with me that you had with your prior city attorney, and I would really welcome the opportunity. It's a great honor. There's been a very small list of city attorneys for the city of New Iberia since I've been here, and it would be a great honor to be on that list. I appreciate the nomination and hopefully the votes. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no comments, I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Motion Mr. Lewis isn't here. Motion carries unanimously, and one person is absent for the vote, Mr. Lewis. Congratulations, Mr. DeQueer. Thank you very much. I'll be calling you tomorrow so we can get together with Mr. Hike and try and have a very smooth transition. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you. The next agenda item is just a couple of quick announcements. The next council meeting will be Tuesday, August 5th, 2014, and the next neighborhood watch for District 4, Mr. Merrill's district, will be July 17th, 2014, at the Slyman Theater. And I believe he's invited all of the public to attend so that they can view the crime mapping by districts, or crime mapping. So thank you all, and I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion? Second.
Motion.